Hello, welcome back, my favorite movement enthusiasts, to today's session of back flexibility and back pain release. Now, considering that most of my audience is 30 years or older, there are two things that I can safely deduce. Number one, you are tired, and I know that because we're all tired all the time. But number two is you could need a little bit more work on your back. Today, we're gonna go through the lowest, and I mean the lowest effort exercises you can basically do from the comfort of your bed. They're gonna help you release tightness around your back, release pain around your back if it is connected to tightness, and overall increase your quality of life. So if you're ready, let's go and have some fun. Now, before I get you started on all of these exercises, there is one exercise that I want you to add to your repertoire, even if you don't do any of the other exercises. And that's because it has a myriad of benefits, and it's also a pretty low effort exercise. And that, my friends, is the passive or the dead hang. You're only grabbing onto a bar and you are lowering into a complete decompressive hanging position. Not only are we releasing tension around every single vertebrae and decompressing every single muscle, tendon, ligament, and joint in our back, but we are also having the bonus of releasing tightness around our shoulder and decompressing our rotator cuff, which in turn is going to help us with more upright positions in our upper body and releasing tension that is around our shoulder. This exercise has so many benefits that if I counted all of them, this would be the whole video. So please add this to your repertoire, and trust me, you're gonna have some amazing benefits when it comes to releasing tightness, releasing pain, and helping your overall quality of life through something as simple as hanging on to a bar. Now, since I promised you minimum effort for the maximum amount of benefit, our next starting position will be laying down on the ground on our backs. With our back flat on the ground, we're gonna open up our arms, we're gonna put our feet on the ground a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, and we're gonna add internal and external hip rotations, which is just a bonus of this exercise while we are working on some lumbar rotation, stretching out your spinal erectors while strengthening your hip musculature the tiniest bit, which in turn, once again, is going to help you with lower and lumbar back problems. Which moves us to our next exercise. Bring your hands to your shins and pull closer, stretching your glutes, stretching your spinal erectors, lengthening them, releasing some tension, releasing any pain that you have there if it is related to tightness and lack of mobility, and enjoying that stretch for half a minute before we release. You can go for a handful of rotations for your spine in between, superset those, and pull in once more. The combination of these two exercises feels absolutely amazing and can help you instantly relieve some of the tension and some of the pain you carry there. In our next exercise, we won't even have to change positions from here, just adding some tiny controlled rotations in your hip joints, around your glutes, your spinal erectors, and your lower abdominal musculature, releasing tension once again, working on rotational mobility, releasing pain and releasing tightness. Once we're done with this one, we can move into a figure 4 stretch. Left leg on the right one, and with both hands, if you can, it would be absolutely amazing that you grab your lower leg. If you do not have the necessary flexibility yet, you can grab right here behind your knee. We're stretching the left side, our glutes, and surrounding our hips, and we are lengthening our lower spinal musculature once more. And if you want to add even more posterior chain stretch for your legs as a bonus without losing any of the other benefits, you can extend the leg and start grabbing higher and higher and higher up until you feel that nice stretch in your posterior chain, your hamstrings, your calves, your gastroc, your soleus, your Achilles tendon, and even your foot musculature if you can pull those toes closer towards your face. And you can string all of these exercises together. Rotations, static stretch, rotations, and figure 4. Half a minute to a full minute for each of them. Take a short break and then move on to the next exercise. Now, without needing to change positions, our back is gonna stay flat on the floor, our feet are flat on the floor, and we're gonna pull them as closely to our butt as possible, and we're gonna go into bridges. Now, for the first time, we're gonna actually need some effort. However, that effort is pretty minimal. Push up all the way, and as a bonus, if you do have the strength, the control, and the mobility, up on your tiptoes for maximum engagement of our posterior chain from our spinal erectors through our glutes, our biceps, our calves, and our foot musculature before we release all the way. And if you feel some cramping in between repetitions, pull in for that amazing spinal erector and glute stretch and repeat once more by strengthening our posterior chain while actively stretching our anterior chain. And for those of you who want to advance when it comes to mobility, this is one of the main steps you will be working on if you want to start learning how to raise into a bridge or how to do bridge push-ups. There is one more exercise I want you to add to your repertoire if you don't do any of the other exercises as well, because this one has an absurd amount of benefits. I've made a whole video on this entire exercise, but we're only gonna take the shortest part from this one, flat with both legs fully extended. Some of you will notice that your back is not in complete contact with the ground. If you place your hands right there, ooh, there is some space. And while your hands are here, all we want to do is tilt our pelvis just like so and start pushing our lower back down on the ground as hard as we can. Tilt our pelvis back into an arched position, hold, and then once again tilt it until our full back is in complete contact with the ground. We're working on this pelvic tilt control, which is not only very important if you want to advance with things like deadlifts and advanced calisthenics exercises like planches and stuff, but it's also very important in general to keep your spine and your back healthy. Tilt your back, full contact with the ground, flex your glutes, flex your core, and then reverse. You need to use your core musculature to get into this position. Release by flexing your spinal erectors, repeat by flexing your core and your butt. I cannot stress how effective this exercise is. We will actually have to change starting positions into a quadruped position, just like so. And now we have, once again, the tiniest amount of effort. Start by doing kickbacks. Extended. Once you're here, pull up as hard as you can before you release. And repeat on the other side. Extend, pull up, and release. The further you go up, the more engagement of posterior chain musculature you will have, and over time you're also going to help a little bit with releasing tension around your hip flexors and quads. Not to mention that the control you will gather over your posterior chain musculature in those kickback positions will help you in turn with all sorts of other exercises that require a lot of control in and around your back musculature. In between sets, you can lean back, release as much tension by stretching out your entire back musculature before you move on to the next set. And this one is just a bonus exercise, but I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't add this one. From the same starting position, we want to go through complete spinal extension with external rotation in our shoulders into complete and lengthened spinal flexion with internal rotation in our shoulders. While we are going into extension, we are flexing our posterior chain and releasing our anterior chain. And when we go into flexion, now we're going to need a lot of control. Straighten your arms. Lengthen your shoulders and your scapula into abduction. Go into spinal flexion by flexing your hip flexors and your core. Start pulling your stomach in all the way and tilt your pelvis as much as you can and release your neck. Hold for a second or two and reverse. And if you add controlled breathing through this exercise, breathing in to extension and breathing out into flexion, you're gonna add even more amazing results. Once again, an exercise that feels absolutely amazing and helps you release a lot of carry tension around your back musculature and even your shoulder musculature. And there you have it, my friends. The lowest effort exercises you could think of with the highest yield, the highest benefits from the minimum of movement you can do. If you want to, you can do these exercises laying in your bed. And if you can do this whole routine about 2 to 3 times a week, you will get rid of all kinds of quality of life problems that surround our back and spine, and you will feel absolutely amazing when it comes to your back flexibility, control, and overall feeling of health. If you like the video and subscribe, and please guys, check out our videos on this channel. Captain Cairo, peace out.